Let's get right into another episode of the Hollow Points Podcast, where we accept the challenge of providing dangerous, thought-provoking, and sometimes controversial insights into life's most common topics.
Yo, man, I got a question.
I
At,
got the
at what
answer.
age are you grown? Or how do you know if you grown?
Man,
I mean, you,
it's
you have different, so you have different things that contribute to your growth. You
right,
have your parents, right? You
right.
have your theories, so your reading and stuff that you do on your own. You have your experiences, right?
hmm
Then you have your trial and error.
hmm
So when are you grown? When is enough enough? When are you finished this trying phase?
It is. It is my opinion. I was raised under the premise that you are an adult when you can do two things. One is be responsible for your own actions. Two is financially be responsible for yourself. So keep this in mind. At no chronological age should you consider yourself grown if you're not doing both of those things. Not just one, but both. So this means if
Okay.
you're
Oh,
not, if
it qualify
go ahead,
both for me. Is it
absolutely.
100% or is it 80? Is there an 80-20 rule?
So keep this in mind. I
Hmm.
said you are or capable of. So if you have
Uh-huh.
the capability, but you just don't utilize it because you pimping, I would still consider you grown. When you pimping your mom or your parents and living in a basement, I don't consider that to be grown. You don't necessarily have the capability to be responsible for yourself. Take responsibility for your actions because your actions have a curfew in your mom and them basement. They have considerations in your mom and them basement. They have, you know what I mean? So it's a situation where you have to consider other people in order to make the moves you make or live the life you want to live. I don't necessarily consider that to be, and when I say consider other people, I'm not talking about being a parent considering your children's well being and things of that nature. What I'm talking about is being disrespectful for sneaking holes in your mom and them side door and things like that, smoking weed and then have to wave your hand when you hear somebody coming down the stairs or up the stairs. That's when you're not grown. I don't care if you're 34 or 35. But if you, and I knew a young lady when I was in high school that lived down the street from us in her own apartment. And me and her was in the same grade. you know what I'm saying? She was
Dang.
16. She had her own crib, but it was under her auntie name. And she had a job. And she took care of herself and drove me to school most of the time because she had a car. So was she grown legally? No, she couldn't have joined the military. But for all intents and purposes, she was grown. And so the idea of you being considered grown when you could be responsible for your own actions and take care of yourself financially, she was a person that was able to do both successfully. And so she'd been grown since she was like 15. Now, the
Okay,
circumstances
I got
obviously
a
weren't.
question.
Go ahead, go ahead.
So can you be grown and then be a kid again after that and then be grown again sometime later?
And that's the problem. So you can fall in and out of grown like love. Um, so,
Oh, that's that's
so
that's a hard one to swallow. I didn't. Okay.
because what happens is these levels of capability and responsibility um, mean that you have to be willing. You have to be willing to be responsible for your own actions. You have a lot of people that get to a certain age where they aren't willing to any longer take responsibility. And when you're not taking responsibility and you become a chronic blamer or you're depending on someone else to facilitate yo whatever, then you've lost your way. You're off the path of adulthood. You know what I'm saying? Adulthood is a path. And as long as you following the yellow brick road, then you can be considered a successful adult. But the moment in which you stray from the path, you have to give up that license. And that's just the nature of things. Once again, they talk about people from an age perspective. You come out of diapers, and then ultimately you get old enough to get back into diapers. It's a cycle. You know what I mean? If you live long enough, this is going to happen to a large portion of the population. And so, in that cycle, you have phases, and in those phases, you have to stay true to the game and stay on course. But you got a lot of people that go left. They get into they age, and they don't understand age appropriation, meaning the appropriacy of how you should behave based on your age. Act your age, not your shoe size. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. So,
that's the
but
situation.
kids can date, right? Can kids date?
So then the question is this: qualify when is someone a kid, and then qualify what is a date. If we're talking about,
kids is
go
a
ahead.
non-adult.
All right. So if a non-adult is dating, once again, dating means different things. It's a cultural term. When white folks say dating, like we say talking. We black, we say talking. I'm talking to her, she talking to me, whatever. White folks say dating because he's dating Susie, Becky, Amber, and Maggie. Playing the field, filling out his options. As black
Okay,
people,
so my bad. Yeah,
go
black
ahead.
people, we mean go together. I mean
Yep.
go together
Okay,
then.
cool, cool, cool. So yeah,
Can
I think
kids
that
go
one
together?
I think the situation with the go together thing is uh as I will respect go together as long as both parties have in theory agreed to it.
Do you
I
have
do
any origin of go together? What the hell
I,
is that?
man,
To me, that means we ride in the same car, but apparently that's not.
man, no, I don't know the hood origin of the term go together. But and nor do I understand where the ultimate destination was. Because it just sounds weird to say go together to marriage. You know what I'm saying? We go together to marriage. that, that-
Right, right.
so I don't understand where the destination, lied when the term came popular. But I know I just inherited it and used it.
Okay, so they can go together,
Hmm.
but if you're not grown, you can't get married, or you shouldn't get married. Is that what you're saying?
Man, so I think the issue with marriage is I don't believe that age. A lot of times, people we ain't getting no younger. We might as well do this, or we've been going together for X number of months or years, and so society and my auntie and them is putting pressure on me. Usually, it's from the woman, putting pressure on me to see where this thing is going. A lot of guys fall into it too because they feel like that it's going to be a question at some point, so they try to get ahead of the curve. But the reality of it is, uh, at some point in time, you know what you know and you feel what you feel. If you feel like you need to legitimize it with paperwork and a ceremony, then you know if that makes you feel better collectively as a couple, then do it. But the good thing about now where we live in this time, all of the gays' rights and all these things that are going on, you could have partnership where insurance you could insure your partner. It was a point in
Uh
time
huh.
where people would get married because they wanted to use the insurance as an example of why we got married or the security or I can't
Hmm.
inherit his, I can't get his pension, I can't do this or that, and so I need this paperwork to grease the wheels as far as society is concerned. Well, society has stepped away from those things where you could bequeath whatever you want to whomever you want at this point in time without a lot of
Right.
legal fanfare. And so
Right.
now you getting married more often than not out of tradition or expectation than you are anything else. And the one thing I've discovered uh, from talking to people, from being single and dating women and going with girls, is that a lot of women want the ceremony, not the matrimony.
Oh. And also, it's not. A lot of people would get face tattoos if it wasn't permanent. So marriage these days is not permanent either.
they've made it easy. I remember at one point in time I was working with a young lady in Arkansas, and one of the laws that existed that she told me in Arkansas, she
Mm-hmm.
was going through a divorce. And she said that because there were children involved in the marriage, they had to be legally separated for at least 6 months before the judge would allow for the petition for divorce to be established. But
Mm-hmm.
in all, the idea or the financial consideration of divorce was less than $600. Like it was so worth it to her to get out of
Right.
that marriage that she thought originally it was going to be cumbersome economically for her to move on with her life. And I'm a big component of my happiness is priceless. I will sell all of this stuff and give plasma if I'm not happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I
so,
know that too now. Yeah.
yeah, right. It's not something you can't afford not to do. And your peace of mind is something you can't leverage. But a lot of people make excuses, not just for relationships, but for jobs, for the lack of success, for all of this. They insert excuses here that other people can understand. You know, I would have been left if it wasn't for the kids. We gonna wait until the kids get grown and go away before we move on. So now you miserable unnecessarily. Tomorrow's not promised. And so to be unnecessarily miserable for a specified number of years until the kids get grown or whatever the reasoning is, first of all, the kids and pets can sense things. You know what I'm saying? Small kids and pets can sense when shit ain't what it's supposed to be. So you're not doing the kids no favor, and you're not helping them develop who they should be in a relationship in the future by faking it until you make it, and then you never make it. So you miserable with your old lady and the kid is 13 and you wait until the kid is 19, then that kid was just exposed to a poor example of love for 6 years. And you expect for him or her to have successful relationships thereafter when they was in the class for poor shit for 6 years. They never can graduate because they were poorly taught. They was miseducated like Lauren Hill.
So your first rule was to be financially responsible for yourself, right?
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct.
Can you dive deeper into that? Because if someone, let's say, discovers by watching a commercial that they want to try or a new field, or somebody sent them a text link, or they saw a meme,
Hmm.
if you have been taking care of yourself,
Hmm.
but you want to quit your job today to try something different,
Hmm.
does that mean you're a kid?
Yes, you reverted. Congratulations.
Or,
You've been demoted. Let me explain why. At any point in time where you have a inability to be financially responsible for yourself, you've lost your adulthood. What that means is I'm financially responsible for myself. I meet a young lady. Hopefully, she's responsible for herself financially as well. Because unless I just have an abundance, I'm just blessed with an abundance of financial latitude that I could take care of she and I based off of just my finances, and that happens. That happens all the time. I could take care of both of us. But I also know that if she couldn't take care of herself to the standards that she has for herself by herself, then I'm marrying a child, or I'm dating a child, or I'm going with a child. And I have to rationalize that for myself. Like, and some dudes want to raise a chick, and then they get mad because he all in their business and telling them what to do. You gave him the keys to your life as a guardian. You gave this nigga guardianship of you because
but
you
he's
came
setting
in.
himself up to get disappointed because you're already been raised for 25 years, and he's trying to raise you quick in a couple of years, and you're not there.
Oh, let me tell you something about coaching and ego. Every coach
Hmm.
feels like they could take potential and turn it to a star. That's just the ego of a coach. That's the ego of certain leaders. That's the narcissism that exists when you feel like you're in a greater station or you're the smartest person in the room or whatever the case may be. You feel like you could turn every glass of water into wine, every piece of clay into gold. And so you get these folks that you feel like if I just brushed her off a little bit and taught her a couple words and dressed her up, then she would be there. but you're not looking at all of the things that didn't happen for all those years because you're looking at what you want to see and what you're going to get out of the deal. A lot of it is not. No, dude, this is not happening, okay? Regardless of what anybody tells you, no good guy, great guy is looking at a woman as a developmental project that they can walk away from. No guy is saying, I am going to meet you, polish you off, train you, develop you, you become successful, and then I walk away with the knowledge that I helped another human being become successful. No, that's not happening. He has ulterior motives. He has an agenda as to why he's taking an interest in paying
Hmm.
your rent and taking you places and making you feel gratitude towards his magnanimous approach to your life, your kids, his investment in you because he sees you as a good stock. Keep in mind, when you are invested in as a good stock, you can't start going down. You can't pick up no weight. You can't wear him down. It's not a situation where you are a diamond in the rough and somebody's finding you and they're going to make you who you always were meant to be. You are what your record says you are. If you have 3 kids by 3 dudes, you're that chick. No matter what you
And
believe in yourself,
yeah,
you are what your record says you are.
to expand on that,
Mhm.
no dude is looking for a grown child.
That's absolutely no, no, no. No good dude is looking for a grown child. There's a lot of manipulative men, and that's probably why women have repetitive bad cycles in relationships because they find father figures or they find guys that want to raise them up or tell them what to do or expose them to things. If you with a guy and he says, "Have you ever been to the Virgin Islands?" and you say yes, and he say, "Well, we can't go there." You know how big the Virgin Islands is. I mean, you don't even have to know geographically how big it is. But when he wants all of your positive experience to be his, he wants to
Hmm.
own your memories. Are you, that should let you know something. That should let you know something. This cat trying to own my memories.
Why can't you be the best? Right.
Right?
So,
Yeah. Because my thing is this: we can go. Listen, if I'm dating or going with a chick, and I say, "Can we go to the Cowboys Ravens game?" and she say, "Yes, I've already been to the Cowboys Ravens game." My next response is, "Not with me, you haven't." That's
and not to this game unless you
and not to
a
this
time
exactly.
traveler.
That's your time traveling. There you go. So it's those type of things where I think when you got a guy where he wants to separate you from the herd, because that's what hunters do. When you look at lions and they hunting on a savannah, the thing is you want to get the weak ones. You want to get the ones that are slower. You want to get the ones that have drifted away from the herd because there's safety in numbers. And so when they feel like you're unsafe because the numbers aren't around you, you don't have a strong family system. You don't get along with your mama. You don't get along with your sisters. You don't get along with your kid's father. You've never had anything good happen to you. Then they come in and they magical to you because in the beginning the representative is showing you all these things that you have been missing out on and that you should have had all these years. But damn it, if you 37 and ain't nothing ever good happened to you, it's you. It's you. You've had a consistent pattern of nothing good happening because you didn't deserve anything good to happen. Who's that unfortunate that they can string together a series of misfortune year after year, time after time? Everything you touch turn to shit. Yes, you. That's you.
Why can't they plan a pivot in life? And they just plan a lot of pivots.
Effort. A real pivot not only takes the thought process, but then it takes the activation of that thought process, followed by reinforced effort. And a lot of times people can't plan a pivot because they've not surrounded themselves with people that will respect the pivot. What happens is when things change, change. So if you having girls' night out and you having a certain cadence that you keep up with your life, you can't just pick and choose what changes. You have to transform. They have to understand and appreciate and respect that she can't do what she used to do or she can't be who she used to be because she's trying to be someone else. You can't be both. The laws of physics say that two entities can't occupy the same space at the same time. That's against the laws of physics. So you can't be old her and new her simultaneously. That doesn't work. You have to be new her and be committed to new her. And a lot of times when you commit to new her or new him, then the stuff that was residing with old her or old him no longer can live here. You can't get off crack and then go visit your friends at the crack house a lot. That doesn't,
Right.
that's stupid. It's still, and that sounds simple, but that's how life works when it comes to you moving on and bettering yourself. You can't bring that stuff with you. You have to, that don't mean cut bait and everything that you used to know and everybody you used to run with, you can't run with no more. But you have to have a new draft. Who can be on this team? Because all players
Yeah.
are not applicable for this style of play.
Yeah. Like Harry Tubman would say, everybody can't go.
Yes. Yes.
You can't visit a crack house every day and say, I just won't do it.
Right.
That house is for crackheads.
That
You
absolutely.
you,
You
you
should. It's
are a
inappropriate.
crackhead by default. Right.
It's absolutely inappropriate because I don't understand what you're trying to gain there. But a lot of times, what people want more than anything is for others to recognize them for the adjustment. They want for others to applaud them when they leave the job. You know what I'm saying? I'm quitting this job. I'm starting my own thing. And they want everybody to get a clap. Man, who gives a fuck if they clap or not? You're fed up.
Right.
You can do your own thing. That should be enough. But people want that moment so bad where their friends say, "Man, you used to be this and now you're that." And man, I'm so proud of you. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of, because once again, once you create that self pride, then people are proud of you because you standing on your own and doing your own thing. That's back to the responsible for your own actions and not
Mhm.
blaming others or assigning it to others. You shouldn't have to always be hooked up. I respect people that move places where other people are not there. But a lot of black folks, they not moving out of state or somewhere else unless they got somebody there to put them on and to stay with for a little bit.
That's fear. Right.
That's fear. That's fear of your own investment in yourself. Sometimes you got to take that leap. You got to go out there and have that faith and have that understanding of, I've put this together, I've done the work. But a lot of times, when you haven't done the work and you haven't made the proper investment, then you rely on the hookup. You try to hit the lick, and you can't retire off a lick. You can't retire off a hookup unless it's like that criminal mind attitude of this one last big job. You know what I'm saying? That's the only time. That's the only time the lick really comes. And they always talk about we gonna hit this one big last job, and then we all gonna be on an island somewhere, and you can never come back to the United States. I mean, like think about
Right.
the ramifications of that lick, right? Because it happens in the movies all the time, and people think this shit is cute, but I'm always thinking like this. So wait a second. We hit this job. I'd have left my fingerprints here. I'm in a country that doesn't have an extradition policy with the United States. But then my people always got to come here to see me. I'm
Right.
here whether it's a hurricane. I don't speak. I'm not from here. All this other stuff. And my money at some point in time, I've done this job or been this way for so long. I don't know how to do island jobs. You know what I'm saying? Because if you in your 30s and you hit a lick for 12 million and you go to an island, that 12 million ain't gonna last until you 60. There's no 401k with 12 million. Like that's not how this works. You're a criminal. They're not gonna let you invest in things. So now you got to get a Swiss account and all. And I know I'm nerding out on this, but my point is, people don't think beyond what they've seen to do their own work and come up with their own conclusion. They take somebody else's thought process. I'm just gonna get a couple houses in the hood and then live off the what I'm charging people for rent. And that's it, huh? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about when the repairs are need to be done on those houses?
Yeah.
What
You
what
know the
about
house in the hood was built in 1920, right?
exactly the lead, the asbestos? What about all these other unforeseen things? Do you have a contingency budget? Do you understand that this is not what you think it is as far as the maintenance and the time and the energy that you place into maintaining and owning and securing those properties and making sure bodies are in there so you're getting some type of rent, and the house is only getting older. And unlike other things, land may appreciate, but materials don't. Materials depreciate. So as your house
Yep.
gets older, the HVAC unit is getting older, the plumbing is getting older, the lighting is getting older, And so at some point in time, you're going to have to reinvest whatever you've made off of that house or those houses back into that property. And so it's just not a pure profit dynamic unless you own a lot of land or a lot of houses, and then you just kind of moving the money around, to be honest with you, at a certain age point.
It's still
But
you just hiding it. It's still not a pure profit.
absolutely, absolutely. But the
So
good
you
news
saying
with
I
that,
can't?
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the good news with that is where I'm from, if you own your own business, you're automatically a millionaire. If you own your own
Okay, yeah,
houses,
that's true.
you're automatically a millionaire. There's a perception of ownership that people tie to financial success that's inappropriate. And that's just ignorance because people ain't from nowhere. That's it.
I promise you, I just heard that like 2 weeks ago. This girl told me her friend owns his own business. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, that's cool. Where at? She said Big T. I said, okay.
Right.
Um,
You got a storefront, right?
yeah, and he's a millionaire. So what you saying is, if I called you and told you that I'm going to this reality show, quitting my job, going to the show, you'll say I'm a kid.
Yes. And this is the reason why I can't say that you're a kid chronologically. My threshold of not being an adult. I don't want to call you a kid because that's disrespectful to children. You just walk around a big ass kid. But I can't give you the adult status because you're not being responsible for yourself financially and you're not being accountable for your own actions unless you are. Now, if you're saying I'm gonna do this because I know this is what I want to do and I don't care what the where it leaves me after the fact. If there's no financial guarantees from this show or none of that is going on, then you're just doing it for more views or more members or whatever Instagram followers and that, and you're not able to monetize that to feed yourself and house yourself and more importantly, insure yourself medically. If you can't derive those benefits from whatever you're doing, then you're making a childish decision. But the thing about that is, if it's just hurting you, it's different. So I have this theory. I have a theory that people should absolutely, absolutely should dream up until they're 25 years old. After the age of 25, you should forecast your life, meaning your predictions are based off of data, things you've seen, understanding of what comes next. It's not just a flat out dream. You're not just going for it and hoping for the best. Obviously, once you insert a child into that situation, subtract 4 years from that because generally that 4 year gap. So if you instead of you being 25 and being able to dream, you got to stop dreaming at 21 because society doesn't deem it to be appropriate if you just talking crazy and being outlandishly a dreamer with responsibilities at 23, 24. You got two kids, you're 24 years old, you talking about the rap game and this and that and all this other stuff where markets are oversaturated and you can't really create a stable or substantial path for success and insurance. I'm really big on medical insurance for your dependents. So if your old lady and your kids don't have medical insurance, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. It's not enough. You're not doing a damn thing if I get the coughing and we worry.
You read my mind though. That was my next question. What age is too old to be a first album trying to get together rapper?
I believe it to be I believe it to be 24 years. 24 years old, you should throttle down. And let me explain. So understanding how music industry works, you can get people that signed but not getting advanced. You can get people that can be taken advantage of easily by the industry just from a relevancy play. They're not great artists. They just own labels because they boys hooked up with the label or they sing in background or whatever. But they don't have any discernible skills. Some people are can write down words and put them into a song calling it rap, but if the people don't love you, you're not a great rap artist. It's a hobby until you can monetize it consistently to where you can go get an insurance policy for medical benefits. I'm gonna keep saying that.
You want these
it,
babies' teeth clean.
until you cannot be afraid of catching something and being able to go to the doctor or get a tooth pulled without getting a GoFundMe, then we ain't talking about a damn thing. I got too many cousins and friends, old guys I grew up with or whatever, that's still chasing that ring and ain't got nothing to show for it.
This concludes another episode of the Hollow Points Podcast, where we act as your therapeutic outlet on topics many think about but are afraid to speak on.
Oh, you're welcome.